If we cross paths during my journey, I'll be sure to say hello. The Hydro Dragon who serves as the Eudex of Fontaine? Another dragon who puts people in prison. I'm not sure I'd want to meet him. The first time I sang in the gardens of Zapoliarny Palace, the Tsaritsa happened to pass by. She stood there, silent and motionless, like a statue with no expression carved onto the face. For a moment, I felt as if she wanted to say something to me, but she never did. She seals her emotions beneath thick sheets of ice. The outside world sees but one side of who she is, that of the Tsaritsa. If the answers I sought rest on the moon, perhaps hers lie buried in snow and ice. He's quite the opposite of his code name, and that seems to be intentional. Although he's known as the Jester, his tone is stern and serious, and he speaks in confusing riddles. The mask he wears depicts a grin that mocks the world, but he himself never smiles. Many respect him, but just as many fear him. Is that too confusing? Well, you see, creatures accustomed to living in darkness will never choose to get close to the light. It's too dangerous, for light would only lengthen their own shadow. There was a time when the doctor took care of me, even claiming to think of me as his sister. It was only later that I discovered, the closer you are to him, the more freely he uses you. What's a little discomfort among family? We endure for each other, surely. That's how he thought of things, and I could tell he meant it. But I didn't want to have to endure. Expectations like that, they took me back to my first home, and the eyes staring up at me from beneath the altar, so full of greed. The House of the Hearth is home to many children, and it can get quite noisy. The first time I heard them call Arlecchino father, I thought it was a rule that had to be followed there. So, the next time she passed by, I used that title as well. That's when I learned just how quiet the House of the Hearth could become. I can teach you to talk just like him. All you have to do is combine the words money, that darn pantalone, and mark my words. Here, I'll show you. Where's the money? Mark my words, I'm going to kill that darn pantalone. Or, that darn pantalone is going to cough up the money. Mark my words. See? Isn't that fascinating? I wonder, does the key on her back ever stop turning? Does it change direction? Does she remove it when she sleeps? How does she roll over? I've been curious about that key ever since I first met her. But since we weren't close then, It didn't seem right to just go up and touch it. So whenever I had the chance, I would follow behind her, trying to figure out the pattern of its movement. But one day, she suddenly turned around and demanded to know why I kept following her. After I told her the reason, she said, "If you're that curious, why don't I put..." I wonder, does the key on her back ever stop turning? Does it change direction? Does she remove it when she sleeps? How does she roll over? I've been curious about that key ever since I first met her. But since we weren't close then, it didn't seem right to just go up and touch it. So whenever I had the chance, I would follow behind her, trying to figure out the pattern of its movement. But one day, she suddenly turned around and demanded to know why I kept following her. After I told her the reason, she said, "If you're that curious, why don't I put one on your back and you can see for yourself?" So I lived with a key on my back for a few days, and it was quite the challenge. Sandrone doesn't have it easy, so I've looked out for her even more since then. I'm not sure what counts as death for a puppet. All I know is Sandrone isn't moving, and I can't feel her operating. Her key is just stopped. And all because of the technique she used to bring me back. She said she was going to get back at me that one time. How I wish that's all this was. Just an attempt to scare me. In his eyes, everything and everyone has a price tag, and he gets to decide their value. We're all just bargaining chips he can use to expand his ever-increasing empire of wealth. But who would want to visit a boring empire like that? Not me, that's for sure. If he saw me now, I'm sure his smile would hide even more contempt than before. I can almost hear it now. Congratulations, Miss Colombina. Your value has appreciated. If metamorphosis ends in one's wings being engulfed in flame, perhaps remaining in the cocoon is how one survives. But I doubt Rosaline ever considered making that choice. Or perhaps she had determined her own end from the very beginning. Whether it was love, hate, or a simple dance, she gave her whole self to her pursuits and left others to sing her dirge after her departure. I've heard he has a good relationship with his family. They go camping together and have barbecues by the lake. Sandrone says he's the harbinger who lives most like an ordinary person. I don't really understand ordinary people, but that kind of life sounds nice to me.